Hello, I'm Charlene McLean, and I'm a member of the Miramichi Addiction, Mental Health, and Suicide Prevention Committee. And on behalf of the committee, I will be interviewing various service providers in the area so folks are aware of the many different services and programs that are available to them. In today's resource spotlight, I'm joined by Carly Russell. Carly is an employment counselor with the John Howard Society of Southeastern New Brunswick Incorporated. Thanks so much for joining me today, Carly.
Happy to be here.
So before we get into the questions, I just want to make the folks aware that even though you work for John Howard Society of Southeastern New Brunswick, your programs are provided within this region. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. We serve most of Northumberland County, but the program is offered in the Moncton region as well.
Okay, perfect. Just sometimes when we say Southeastern, I didn't want folks to think that, the program was only available in the Moncton area. So I just wanted to make that clear before we started.
Of course.
So what type of program is the Employability Now program?
So Employability Now is an employment program designed to help clients with mental health and addiction barriers return to work or school.
Okay, so what are some of the goals of the Employability Now program?
Our goal is to help these clients improve their quality of life by assisting them gain independence through sustainable work or education that is relevant to their individual needs and strengths.
Okay, so you would obviously you provide a program, but the program might change a little bit, or how you go about implementing the program depending on the client's needs.
Exactly. Everything is completely individualized and tailored to each specific client.
Perfect. So, who is eligible for the program, and what are some of the requirements to be accepted into the program?
It's actually very simple. 18 years and older is the clientele that we serve. And they just have to self-identify as having mental health or addictions barriers. It doesn't have to be both, it's one or the other. And the most basically just need to be motivated to find work. It's a partnership. We work together, but we're just looking to help people out and provide some assistance. So they don't need a formal diagnosis to be considered into the program. It just has to be something that, they identify that they have anxiety or depression or something like that.
Okay, so that's important to know. It's not as if you need a referral from their clinician or they need to have a diagnosis specifically, as long as they self-identify. So, is your program only to find work, or is it also to help them maybe get into an educational program?
Yeah, so we provide both. The way that we consider it is that it's basically anything that'll help you along the lines of getting employed. So we can start as far back as GED. So if you qualify for the GED program, because it depends on age and how long you've been out of school and stuff like that. I've followed clients from GED and provided financial support from GED into college, and then support once they're finished college to find employment. And then we also keep the file open for 6 months to help with employment maintenance in case there are any issues that might come up during that time.
Okay. So let's say that I contact you and I meet the eligibility requirements. What would be the process after that?
So normally I would meet with the client and do kind of like a little bit of an intake assessment. Like I said, it's tailored very specifically to each client. So the client will discuss what their needs are, maybe what they're struggling with. And sometimes clients aren't really necessarily struggling with their mental health or addictions issues. Sometimes, they're just looking for financial support, or they're just not really sure where to look, or maybe they're even new to the area. But because of their mental health and addictions issues, that I'm the best fit to be of support in case something were to come up in the future. So normally, we have that conversation if they're looking for school, normally we zone in on that area. If they say no, I'm not looking to go back to school right now, then we focus on, the back to, or, the work and employment side of things. So that could be resume writing, interview skills, basically anything along the way. Sometimes there are some other barriers in the way. They might have multiple disabilities. So those are things that we would look for as well and see what we can do to, make sure that those aren't issues when they return to school or work.
So in that situation, you might pair up with another service provider to see if there are things that they can provide when it
Exactly.
comes to, like, for example, if I'm visually impaired, maybe a special type of equipment or laptop or things like that. So,
Exactly.
okay.
There are nonprofits all across the province who do similar work. We all have similar contracts, and there are consulting contracts. So like you said, if there's someone who has a vision impairment, then I'm going to get in contact with, a nonprofit in the province who, can let me know what that client needs specifically, because it's not something that I specialize in, but obviously a significant barrier to the client. So, there are government programs that we can access to help fund the equipment that they might need in that case as well. So there's lots of programs that are great, and we work in partnership with.
Perfect. That's great. So, is there anything that we've missed when it comes to your role as an employment counselor? You talked about doing the intake and providing support and, discussing with the client what their needs are or what they think their needs are, and then reaching out to other organizations if that's necessary in order to get folks either into the workforce or into an educational program. Is there anything besides that maybe we didn't talk about?
Yeah, so like I said, it's very individualized. I've had clients who, might have been out of work for quite a bit of time. And, they really want to just start off by maybe doing some volunteering. So, I might get in contact with Volunteer Miramichi and see, what the needs are in the community or what might be a good fit for the client. So, obviously, the goal of the program is for them to have sustainable work, through paid employment. But it's sometimes a process to get from point A to point B. So, there's a lot of different things, interview preparation, that's pre and post interview, because, there are things that they should be doing once they've had the interview as well. So we go through those things. Um, I find a lot of clients find that, they're aware of these things, but it's just nice to kind of have somebody to, remind them, or, just to know that they're not alone. A lot of my clients say, look, I'm very aware. I've had lots of jobs in my life, but it's just nice to know that I'm not alone to go through this process, that if I have a problem, that I have somebody to turn to.
Exactly, that they have support. Do you sometimes provide support after an individual has found employment for a
Yep.
little bit, just to offer them support and answer any questions or?
Yep. I keep a client's file open for a minimum of 6 months. Of course, if they say, I really have a hard time keeping in communication with you, I don't think I need your services anymore, then sometimes I would close the file prior to that. But the rule of thumb is 6 months. And if the client needs more support past the 6 month mark, that's completely fine too. Like I said, it's very individualized, but sometimes they might be doing really well for the first month or two, but then, they hit a big problem, and, they might not know how to deal with that with their employer or have that conversation with their employer. So sometimes it's doing a little bit of coaching to say, okay, look, here's how you have that conversation with them. Or, they may think, okay, I need to quit, or maybe they're going to fire me. And it's just kind of having that conversation, say, look, don't assume that they're going to fire you. You need to have that conversation with them first, and, maybe own up to whatever you think the issue is. And sometimes I even have conversations with the employer and the client. So the three of us would sit down and work through any issues that might be going on, because, sometimes the employer isn't even aware of whatever the issues might be. So, like I said, very tailored to each individual and what their needs might be.
So really, it's not a program that has a specific amount of time. It's really based on, the client being successful in either finding employment or being enrolled in an education program, and the amount of time that they may need afterwards for support. So that's great that, once they find employment, for example, or they're enrolled in an education program, that, your support doesn't stop. It's still there for an amount of time in case they need support and have questions, especially like you said, if they've been out of the workforce, for a given time. Sometimes it can be intimidating, and having someone there to give support is really great. So if someone wants to, reach out to you, is there a certain referral process, or do they just simply need to call you or email you to touch base with you in order to get the process started?
Yep. So I can accept self-referrals. So they can call me, email me, whatever is most convenient for them. But I can also accept a more formal referral. So I do work closely with social development, working NB, mental health, and probation are some of the most common agencies that I do get referrals from. I try and keep things more of a partnership so that, neither organization is working 100%. Because there are things that I don't have access to or that I can't do for the client that they might be able to. So I try and work as closely with any other case managers or referral agents might be involved in the case, just to, provide the best service as we can for the client.
Perfect. So the program that you offer, do you offer support in French and in English?
Yes, the program is bilingual.
Okay.
And we also serve Nigawak, Bay St. Anne, Blackville, and Rogersville, and everywhere in between. So it's most of Northumberland County. And I would travel to those regions to make it easier for the client to access the services as needed.
Okay. So are there any things that we haven't touched on that you'd like to share with the folks that are watching the interview?
I think just if you're unsure about whether or not you'd be a good fit for the program, just, give me a call. I'm happy to have a conversation about what your needs are. And if I think that this program might be a good fit, like I said, it's tailored to every specific individual who walks through my door. So if you really unsure, I'm more than happy to talk about that. Charlene will provide my contact information at the end. And we can have a conversation about that, because there are lots of programs that I have access to, which each program kind of is a little bit individualized in terms of eligibility guidelines. So it's not something that I necessarily advertise for each program that I have available to each client, just to avoid confusion. So if you think that there might be something that I can help you out with, definitely give me a call.
Okay, so actually what I'm going to do right now, Carly, is I am going to share your coordinates so folks can write them down if they'd like. So it's the John Howard Society of Southeastern New Brunswick Incorporated, and Carly Russell is their employment counselor here in the Northumberland County. So her fax number is 778-2578. Her email is en@johnhowards.com. And I'll just leave that on there for a few seconds. And the telephone number is 778-9999. So again, as Carly mentioned, even if you simply have questions about the programs or other programs, or wonder if you meet the eligibility, please feel free to reach out to her, and she will give you some information via email or on the telephone. So before we go, I'm just going to ask again if there's anything else that we haven't touched on that you'd like to make folks aware of.
No, I think we've touched on everything, but like I said, if I haven't been clear on anything, if you're a client, a potential client or a referral agent, I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. So I would also like to make folks aware that there's a new resource in New Brunswick as of October 2020. It's 211. And if folks are wondering what the programs or services are available, whether it's in this region or throughout New Brunswick, they can always call 211. This service is free, it's confidential, and it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So please reach out. It's a really great resource. If you have questions or looking for different programs that you're unsure of. So thanks so much, Carly, for joining me today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're really happy. Thanks so much. I think it's important to let folks know the resources and programs that we have within our own region, just to make them more aware. So please stay safe and well during the pandemic. Don't forget to wash your hands, practice social distancing, and to wear your mask. Thanks so much, everyone.